That Cost How Muuuchhh?
Hi everyone, my name is Kelsey.
And my name is Becky.
And we are the CB2.
And welcome back to another episode of
That Cost How Muuuchhh?
This is a series where we take things that we feel are a little bit overpriced and try and DIY them for a much more reasonable price.
The DIY dupe. And this time, CB2 is on the chopping block.
Yes.
AKA Crate and Barrel.
Crate and Barrel's cooler, younger, hipper brand, I think.
Did you guys know that? Crate and Barrel CB2. Wait, Danielle.
I didn't know that.
Danielle's face right now.
We picked out 3 things from CB2 and we are gonna try and dupe them today. And I guess let's just hop right into it.
Yeah, but we're only gonna start if you guys are subscribed and you've rung that bell twice.
You've do it twice?
Yeah, it's like once is like sometimes I want to be notified, and then twice is like
Jeez.
doubly notified. Like you'll be notified every time, hopefully. Or follow us on Instagram. We also notify you there.
We notify you everywhere.
Okay.
Okay.
That was a notification.
So first up, we're gonna try and be replicating this gold and marble planter from CB2, and this retails for about $80 US. Now the one that we are trying to replicate is slightly bigger, but trust me, we had a time trying to find something that was that size that wasn't, you know, the actual thing. So the closest thing we could come up with is this little trash can from Walmart. It was actually very affordable and it's plastic, but I think it's gonna work well for getting the same finish and texture. It might not be the same size, but it's gonna look very similar in the end. And the other thing we picked up is this gold and white marble contact paper. It's from Amazon. I'll link that below as well. This isn't as metallic as I was hoping it would be, so we have a fix for that, which I'll talk about later. But the first step is going to be wrapping the pot with the contact paper. One thing to note is that because this isn't completely straight, it's kind of on a bit of an angle, it's good to try and get paper that's slightly bigger than it, because the paper is going to eventually wrap on a little bit of an angle as well. And we don't want any blank spots on this because that's not cute. So I'm going to wrap this around and then cut off any excess using scissors and an X-Acto knife. So the trick to working with contact paper is to go really slowly and only peel the backing off as much as you need at a time. And then a pro tip for going around any rounded edges is to use a blow dryer. This actually helps the contact paper to stretch a little bit and it makes the edges a little nicer. Okay, so this is how the planter is looking so far and it's very cute, but this last final step is really gonna bring this together and make it pop. So we're gonna use some liquid gold leaf, which is just like paint that's very, very, very metallic. And I'm gonna paint over some of the marble lines that are already on the paper to make them even shinier. So the best way I found to do this marble technique is to load up a lot of paint onto the paintbrush and then use a very light hand when trying to trace the lines. That makes like a very delicate, fine, kind of uneven marble line look. And then something awesome about being able to hand do it yourself is that you can carry on the pattern over the seam of the paper if you want, so that you honestly can't tell where the paper starts and stops and it looks completely seamless. So this is how the planter looks once it's completed. I think that paint saved it and it's so, so, so cute. So this only cost me $21 US to make, and that's compared to the $80 US that the larger planter costs at CB2.
All right, next up is these literally gorgeous brass boxes. But you know what's not gorgeous? The price at $129 US for 2. I mean, at least you get 2. It's like $129, but you get 2, so it's still not good. So we went to the hardware store and actually picked up this, and we picked up this like metal ducting, like to make your ducks, I think. So this is about $5.50 US, and I think I figured out that you're gonna need 2, like 1.5 per box. So if you're doing 2 boxes, then you're gonna need 3. That would make it cost $16.50 in metal sheeting. So the first thing I'm gonna do is measure out one large rectangle, and that's going to be 9 inches by 27 inches. So I'm just gonna measure that out, and then to cut it out, I'm gonna be using some, like, what are these?
Aviation? Like fly?
Aviation, that makes sense because these are from my grandpa, who was an airplane mechanic. So these are aviation snips, or if you're just at the hardware store, ask for, they're kind of like pliers, metal cutting snips pliers, but they look like this. So when cutting out, just make sure that you go slow and steady. It might take a little bit longer. It's not like cutting paper with scissors. And just make sure that you're very careful because you are creating some very sharp edges. So make sure you proceed with caution. So when it's cut out, I have something that looks like this. My next step is going to be actually measuring out 9 inches in from each side And then I'm gonna crease it with an X-Acto knife. This isn't gonna cut it that much, but it's gonna help us just be able to fold it to start create the bottom and the two sides of our box.
Hey, that actually worked a lot better than I thought it would.
So next up, I'm going to take my second piece of my duct lining metal sheet, and I'm gonna cut out 2 squares. My squares, I guess they're not completely squares because they're actually gonna be 10 inches by 9.5 inches. I'm gonna draw that out and cut it out, and then I'm gonna take a Sharpie and mark in 1/2 inch all the way around, except for on the top. Next, I'm gonna take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to score along all of those points. And then I'm gonna take the snips and I'm gonna start cutting in little like triangles so that I'm making tabs. You wanna make sure the point of these triangles lines up like directly where your line is and doesn't go past it. And then you'll see after a little while, you're gonna have some tabs. So after I've created my tabs, I'm just going to fold them up so that they're ready to be placed and created into a box. So I'm using steel stick to bring my box together. This is a 2-part epoxy, which means that it's 2 materials that you mix together, and then as they dry and heat, it will bond. So I'm just gonna take this putty, break off a little bit at a time because it does dry quickly, mix it together, and then I'm going to apply it to my tabs and then insert the side and just press the tabs into the back of that side piece. I'm gonna repeat this for the side, the bottom, and the other side, and then on the other piece to bring my whole box together. And we're almost at the finish line. My last step is to paint the whole thing gold so it gives off that brass look and matches the one we're trying to replicate from CB2. And this is the final. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I've never worked with like metal before. It's just not something we usually do on the TheSorryGirls. So I was excited to try out metal. And now I know that ducting is an easy to cut metal material that you can kind of work with for DIY projects. So maybe something else will come along in the near future. And in the end, to create 2 of these DIY boxes, it would only cost me $32 USD when the original 2-box set was $129. So a big savings. They might not be like as luxe as the ones from CB2, which are actually so gorgeous, but I'm really happy with this dupe.
So last up, we're gonna try and recreate this gorgeous marble door stopper. We were looking on the site for things that we wanted to try and do for this video, and we saw this and we're immediately like, this is the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen, so we need to do it. It is only $30 US, which isn't that bad, but we know the supplies that it take to make it are even less than that. So this is a marble door stopper, but I'm gonna be making it out of concrete. So the first thing it has is this gorgeous handle where you can pick it up and carry it around if you need to. So I have some black faux leather here that's gonna be perfect to make the handle, and I'm gonna cut a long strip. I want the handle to be about 5.5 inches above the concrete and about 1 inch wide, but we're gonna add more that can go in the concrete and hold itself in place. So first step is cutting out a strip for that. Once my long strip was cut, I just tied the bottom in a giant knot, and this will help it to stay in the concrete better later. So now that this handle is made, we can put it to the side until later, but now it's on to mixing the concrete. So the first thing you're gonna need is a mold. This is actually a soda cup in a size large, and it's pretty similar to the size of the door stopper, which is great. You want something that is disposable and can be like peeled away if needed to get the concrete out once it's dry. And you also need some other containers that are also disposable to mix concrete in, because these are gonna get wrecked essentially. So don't use anything that you would cook with or keep after. To make this, we're gonna use cement. Get this from the hardware store. The finer it is, the better, and the nicer of a result you will get. So sand concrete is the best way to go. But you'll also need some water to mix, and to make the marble effect, we're gonna be using some paint. This is just the really expensive paint from the craft store, and it's in like this red-brown color, which matches the marble hint of the door stopper really well. So we are gonna use this to make the marble effect in the concrete. So before we start mixing concrete, we need to prepare the mold. So on the bottom of the cup, I'm cutting a little X that I can poke my little strap through. Make sure the knot is on the inside of the cup and the strap is about 5 inches on the outside. Using some strong waterproof tape, this is Gorilla Tape, tape up around the strap so that it doesn't leak out all of the cement. Okay, now we're ready to mix. So start by making a large batch of cement, enough to fill the cup. The general rule with cement is that it's a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 parts cement, 1 part water. I like to mix it until it feels kind of like peanut butter consistency. Once you have a solid batch mixed, pour some of it out into a smaller container. Here's where we're gonna add the brown paint. Add a little bit in and stir it until it feels like it's pretty pigmented. And now into a third, final container, take some of your gray mix and some of your brown mix and mix them together. Don't mix it too much to make a complete new color, just mix it enough so it's blended and kind of looks marbleized. Then you can pour that into your mold. Keep making small batches of this third mix, that's the marbleized mix, and pour that into the mold until your mold is completely filled. One thing to note is although this is Quikrete brand concrete, make sure you don't get the fast drying stuff because this process takes a little bit to mix all 3 colors. Tap the side of the cup to get any air bubbles out, and once your cup is full, you can let it dry completely. Okay, so this is it now that it's completely dry and completely hardened, and it's really cool that you can actually see the brown marble effect showing through pretty well. The only thing I don't love about it is that it's not as white as I was hoping it would like dry to be. So I'm gonna try something, and this could either make it better or worse, but you know, DIYing is all about experimenting. So I'm gonna sand it really smooth, and then I'm gonna try and do a whitewash, which is just white paint diluted with water, and put it on and see if it makes it a little bit whiter, and hopefully we don't lose the marble effect. So the paint, I think, helped to get it a little bit brighter. Maybe we didn't nail it on color and finish, but I think for size and shape and like overall vibe, it's like so close and so cute. We're actually gonna use this. I did have a question though. If you guys know of a good way to get concrete whiter or a brand that is really white when it dries, let me know because we're always on the lookout for stuff like that and it would really help in this case. In total, this DIY costs us $10.50 to make and the original costs $30. So that's like almost 50% off. Tell us which one you think we DIY'd the best. I don't know.
TBD.
TBD. I love all of them. Seriously, guys, tell us below which store or which types of things you want us to do next.
We need that. Fashion. It doesn't have to be decor. It can be fashion. And like, is there another thing?
What?
Food. Like overpriced food? Like macaron?
Becca, who?
Raw?
Tell us what you think.
Those fancy gummies? Like the champagne ones?
I don't know how to make those at all.
No,
but I'm excited for you to take that on.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a like.
And if you love it, make sure you sub it.
And we'll see you next time, next video.
Bye.
Bye.